Okay, good afternoon and welcome to Iyun to lean on Simon Sadi Gimel 93 in Arachayim. Um, the first halacha is seemingly a halacha that it's almost impossible to fulfill this halacha, that you should have to wait an hour before davening, an hour after davening, and the Gemara says you should actually daven for an hour. Now, there are some crazy people that actually daven for an hour. This I've seen. There was this guy in the corner in the mirror-based medrash. He davened all the way in the front right corner. The guy literally was davening for an hour. Now, I don't know if he waited an hour and just sat an hour and did nothing before davening, and sat an hour after davening and did nothing. That even him, I don't think he did. But that's seemingly the halacha. It's a crazy halacha. No one fulfills this halacha. What does Gemara mean? What does the Mishnah mean? So I'd like to offer a more practical explanation of this halacha, which is possible to keep. Meaning, you shouldn't lump davening together. This is actually hard to keep for some people. Meaning, you should wait after you daven one tefillah. You should wait an hour before davening the next tefillah. And if you daven the tefillah, you should wait an hour after that before you daven the next tefillah. You should make a break of at least an hour before every tefillah. I think this is important. And also, the Mishnah says you should daven for an hour. I don't necessarily mean you have to daven for an hour, but the time that you daven, the time that you should, before you start counting an hour till the next tefillah, you should count an hour for your tefillah. Even though you're only davening for 2 minutes, you should say 2 minutes and another 58 minutes and then another hour and then daven. What's the reason for this? The reason is, it says in many places in the Gemara, Enos mitzvahs chavilos. When you make bakashas to Hashem, which is really the principal idea of tefillah, and I mentioned Doraisa is to connect to it on a personal level, an exact level. If you keep on doing one after another, it seems like a burden to you, and you lose the sweetness of tefillah. Tefillah can have a sweetness, and you're actually figuring out yourself, figuring out what your strengths are, what you want, what you need, and how you can get there, and what exactly you need. And if you do one after another, you sort of lose that flavor, and it becomes a burden to you, and even both tefillahs might get ruined. Now, practically, this is also very hard to keep. There's so many places with mincha marav. I hear there's a mincha minyan before shkia, and then they wait 20 minutes to daven marav. So technically, I'm not fulfilling this halacha. But at least this is more practical to keep. And in order to answer my problem is that practically a lot of people have these mincha marav minyans. Some people just daven mincha right before shkia, and then marav right after shkia. They wait 10 seconds. The answer to that is that the Mishnah is saying, I believe this is very true, that even when we say chova or chiyuvim in the mitzvah, I don't believe mitzvah is not a sivoid. We don't call it mitzvahs sivuyim. Sivuyim means a commandment. Mitzvahs mitzvah is that you should feel like you're commanded, meaning you should feel like you're commanded, meaning feel like you're getting good advice. That's what really the Torah is. The Torah is advice. It's not meant to be taken literally, everything. You're supposed to have to factor in the practical situation that you're in right now, because the Torah is not meant to be taken literally in every case. It's a case-by-case scenario. They talk about famous poskim. They'll paskin one psak for someone and one psak for somebody else. And it's like that with everything in life. Torah is meant to give advice. It's an advice book. Your mitzvah, right, to feel like you're commanded, because if you have no other advice, you should listen to the Torah because it has good advice in it. However, if there's extenuating circumstances, you feel like this is not the proper situation to enact the Torah, to follow the Torah over here, you have the right to do so, because the Torah is a general book of advice, not exactly what you're supposed to do. So, in general, you should try to keep this halacha, that you should space out your tefillahs an hour between the tefillah and the next tefillah. However, if it's impossible, extenuating circumstances, of course you're allowed to daven without waiting an hour. And the whole concept of tashlumin we'll get to, making up a tefillah, davening one tefillah right after another, shows that in extenuating circumstances, and there's a reason for there over there, you're supposed to piggyback one tefillah on the next tefillah. Technically, you're not allowed to daven the tefillah that you missed. So, under extenuating circumstances, the Torah recommends, the Torah recommends you don't have to follow it, or you have to leave it up to your own judgment. That's what we have bechira, we have free will to decide when to apply the Torah, when not to apply the Torah. That's part of decision making. The Torah gives us good advice. But you don't always have exact answer. Even when you ask someone for advice, a rabbi for advice, he'll give you advice. Doesn't mean you have to listen to it. Doesn't mean he's giving you the right thing. You ultimately have to make the choice whether you want to listen to it. You have the choice whether you can ask for advice. You have the choice to listen to that advice also. Your free choice never stops. So that's why we're here in this world, to make the most of our free choice. Hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.